Hello, hello, beautiful people. I'm so excited for you guys to be on this call today. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a champion in the house. We have an amazing, incredible coach. We have a leader in the house. And I don't say this lightly because I've actually had the opportunity to meet this amazing soul in person. So I'm a testament of this incredible, amazing person being the real deal. Okay. He not only talks the talk, but he walks the walk. He is the founder of Unleash the Champ. He helps you to stop sucking, start soaring, and win. Okay. Win. That's what champions do. So, Kyle, thank you so much for gracing us with your presence. I am so excited for you to be here. How are you today?
I am fantastic. And this is so fun for me because so much of what I'm doing now was accelerated by my relationship to you and to Vanessa. And so what you guys are doing is so important in the world, wherever y'all may be in the world, because if you know them, you never know where they may end up. But I'm honored to be on here today as a product of what you guys have put your heart and soul into.
Y'all, I don't even know how to start this, but all I got to say is, Kyle, you were not just born a champion. Obviously, yes, you just came out of the womb. You're like, yes, I'm going to dominate this earth. Okay. But what were you doing before you went all in your coaching business?
Gosh, so I wouldn't classify myself as a champion. I grew up in an environment that I was seen, not heard, spoke when spoken to. I was a really shy kid. Um, Not because that was my preference, it's just my environment, because our environment can dictate how we interact in it. And sports was always something that it was my outlet for aggression, my outlet for my pain, my outlet for my frustration in the world. Is I played football, American football. Like I just hit people. Like that was fun because it got out the aggression. I did powerlifting because when I lifted heavy things, I could just scream and holler and all of that. And so I wasn't one that was like, I'm gonna be this champion. I made a lot of really destructive decisions. I got wrapped up in drugs and alcohol and dealing, and got jumped at a drug deal, and that like went and said, I don't want my life to be that. And led me into being a pastor for 11 years. And then everything changed, and Unleash the Champ unofficially started October 5th, 2019 at 12:47 a.m. when I held Miss Piper Grace Sullivan for the very first time. My whole world changed, and Unleash the Champ was born right in unison with her coming into the world.
Wow, that's so beautiful. That's so wonderful. And if you guys don't know who Piper is, make sure to check out Kyle's amazing Instagram. Piper is her own
Oh yeah.
champion.
Yeah.
I love her.
She's 2.5 years old thinking she's 22 and a half.
Yeah.
And I'm here for all the smoke.
Well,
Her and I gonna butt heads. I know growing up as she grows up and I grow up with her. But man, I'm here for it. She's incredible.
you and Ginger have created two amazing, beautiful babies. So I'm so grateful to know at least you in person. Hopefully, we get to meet Ginger in person too.
That's
You
right.
know, I've personally created specific questions for Kyle, y'all. So here's my first one. What is a limiting belief that you once had and is now completely gone?
So I'm gonna say what I am currently going through.
Oh,
So the limiting belief that I am currently overcoming, that I'm not sure will ever truly go away, but it's what I'm overcoming now, is what I call the pastor problem. So I was a pastor for 11 years, and in that field, ministry, servant leadership is huge. You serve, you serve, you serve, you serve, you serve. Well, yes, but when you launch out into your own business and you are putting a block on yourself from asking people to use your services, your products, yourself, you're not going to grow a business that way.
Right.
And that has been the most recent block that I'm overcoming and will continue to overcome as I grow, is just going, listen, I am a product, I have services, I have benefits for you, person X, company X, leader X. We should work together. And if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense, but I'm not going to limit the impact that I could have and the impact I could have for others because I'm not going to ask for it.
Yeah. And how hard has it been, like, seeing your clients go from, being shy, to now stepping into their power? And one of those things is like allowing yourself to ask and receive, because sometimes the asking is being blocked by not being able to receive. So what advice would you give someone that's actually going through this right now, and you're going through it as well, but at the same time you're learning from it? So like, how do you get someone out of being stuck, of not being able to ask and receive, to actually getting everything that they wanted?
Yeah, I think one, you got to define what you want. Two, you need to develop how you think that's going to happen. So for me, I had no problem. I had no problem going into DMs and asking for sales like that, asking for sales calls. But I wouldn't go across the street to the business owner that I know that lives in my neighborhood and ask. So I had to define that it wasn't, I won't ask for the sale, period, because I would in DMs. I would do it on an online place, but not here. So we got to define what the problem really is, define what your block really is, and then go, can I do one today? I'm a big proponent with Unleash the Champ is get 90 feet a day. You may be asking yourself, listeners, watchers, what's 90 feet mean? What's the distance between home plate and first base? If we can hit singles, you eventually win. If you consistently get singles, you're going to get runs in. And so I like to have my clients have big vision, dream big, but make the daily actionable things so small that it would be asinine to not hit them.
Yes. And what's really powerful is, like, you just laid it down, like, okay, from home plate to first base, it's 90. Okay, well, each quarter is the same thing, right? So how long does it actually take to achieve at least one particular goal?
As much as people willing to work. I mean, again, if you make the goal small enough, it can take a day. I know I want to have X amount of conversations every day, whether that's DMs, in person, a person at Starbucks or a person that's fill in the blank. I know I'm going to have X amount of conversations a day. It's so small. It's so small that I always exceed it. But so for that, it took one. Now, bigger goals compound over time. Yeah. And so your target may be, I want to lose 25 pounds. Okay, well, if you think, God, I got to lose 25 pounds, it's going to be overwhelming. But if you say, okay, 25 pounds, 12-week season for 90 days, I can do about 2 pounds, 2.1 pounds a week, then break that up and you just go, okay, well, 2 pounds this week, I can do 2 pounds, because then that's about a 3,000 calorie deficit. So you start to break it all down. And so what I would tell somebody, put a bow on this, create a plan, define what you want, develop how you want it, and then deploy it into your life.
That's strong. That's strong. And honestly, one of the questions that I do have for you is what are the three skill sets that a new or existing coach should triple down on to become better to serve their clients? Because I love the fact that you've come from a place that you're always, serving, but you're also in a place where now it's kind of switched because you're very selfless in the way that you can see the biggest potential into someone, right? And I love that about you. But you're also strong enough to be like, You think you think you can get away with it? No, 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 no. Let's step back. Come
Right.
here. Let's
Right.
do the lap again. So what is the three main skill sets that you would really get someone to dial in, triple down on, so they can become the better version of themselves?
So this is for coaches or just people?
That's a great question. I'm gonna go with people.
Okay,
Okay.
people.
Yeah.
One, I think the biggest skill that I wish I'd known sooner is to truly be curious about people. What I mean by that is I operated for far too long to far too many people in a way that as they're talking, I'm already formulating the next thing I'm going to say. I wasn't truly curious about I was formulating the next thing to make myself look good. And so we always build bridges and build connections with people by seeking to understand rather than be understood. How to win friends and influence people. But I did not do that very much. I would triple down on that, getting genuinely curious about people. Because all these interactions and conversations I'm having, I just show up as a person that just wants to talk about the most important thing to them. And guess what? It's them. We like to talk about us the most.
Yeah.
And so, like, there's times that I will leave a conversation and someone's like, man, you are so, like, you're such a good listener. And you're such, like, man, it was just awesome. I'm like, I didn't say a thing about me.
Yeah.
But that's how we build relationships. And so
Yes.
we serve first and you'll always succeed. And so that's what I would say first thing. Second is I would have hired coaches way sooner. Now I hired a coach pretty quick, and I hired teams. I hired y'all well before I was really able to. And so I think for me, it's going, hey, what are the things you need help with? Who has it? And figure out, like, a buddy of mine that I'm friends with, he's literally a lawn coach. Like, there's a coach for everything. That man can get your grass greener than Snoop Dogg's closet. Like, I mean, he's a lawn coach. It is crushing it. He got, like, it's amazing. There's a coach for everything.
Yeah.
So find something that you want and find somebody that can help you do it better, quicker, faster, farther. So genuinely curious, coach needed, coach necessary. And then the collaboration piece, I think, has got to be so often, because I think partly because of the pandemic, we're more isolated as a culture than ever before. We need collaboration and that human connection now more than ever.
Yes.
So if you genuinely curious about people, you get the coach to where you want to grow in your life, but then you got to quadruple down on getting back into community with people, that human connection, because we've been so isolated that's the pandemic no one's talking about, is the pandemic of mental health and a pandemic of what it's doing to our mental state.
Yeah.
Forget the health state. It's the mental state that's going to be well long lasting when this thing is normalized in society, because it ain't going nowhere.
That's true. And I love what you're doing with the locker room, because I mean, you played sports, I played sports, and it's like the locker room was typically the time that you actually got to talk about what happened, what's gonna happen, and get pumped up, or even battle the biggest demons of them all, which is limiting beliefs.
Yep.
Especially on the court or off the court, so I really appreciate the fact that you're bringing in all your life experience into the locker room, but you've broken down the locker room into such specific ways. I want to read them four. Okay, there's four main things, the four phases. It's a playbook, y'all. It's a playbook. Okay, number one is personal, number two is relational, number three is emotional, and the fourth one is professional. Can you
Yep. That order
a secret? Can you give us a little secret on why that came to be? Because that's so good.
Yeah. So the order is intentional.
Yeah.
So personal, your body. You got one vessel. If you aren't improving that, nothing else matters. Relationship to yourself and others. Yourself first, because you got to be selfish to you. I'm the most important person in my life because I can't be all that I need to be to those important to me without me being number one. Number three is the emotional. That is our mindset, our limiting beliefs. We'll never see it, taste it, touch it if we can't see it in our head first. And so how are you growing with your limiting beliefs? How are you growing through the barriers of how to grow the internal? So you focused on the external, you focus on relationships, now go internal. And then all of that builds to what you do professionally.
Yeah.
Because I work with people who have amassed all this professional success while creating a personal mess.
Mm.
And so they built up all this professional success and don't even have a life they love living with all that money they got.
Mm.
And so it's PREP. So you prep using the playbook in the locker room to unleash the champ.
Bam.
Come here.
That's so good.
I was a pastor for so long. I mean, the acronyms, it just flows. The alliteration, the acronyms, it just flows.
Yeah. And honestly, I love that you touched on that topic because Tony Robbins, right?
Yep.
So he interviewed 50 of the most wealthiest people on earth. Money Master the Game, right? That's the book that we're going to be diving into next month. And you have it, right? Of course, avid reader, avid learner, and he said something the other day that I was like, holy snaps, that's crazy. He said that only 3% of the 50 people that he actually interviewed were happy. So I honestly feel like what you touched on extremely lightly, the whole mental aspect of what's been happening with the world climate today. If you don't have a coach that can guide you out of that mess, it's going to be really, really hard to get you in front of your next opportunity. So thank you for creating the locker room. That's really important. Now, I want to kind of go into the future, shall we?
Shall we? We shall.
Okay. Where do you see yourself taking your coaching in the next couple of years? Do you see yourself leveraging AI, virtual reality to enhance the experience of your clients?
No, unless somebody way smarter than me can show me how to use it.
Awesome.
I'm like, no, girl. I'm from Louisiana in the States. I don't know. They just got like maybe fiber internet. All right. No, I'm not using none of that. Metaverse. No, I don't know how to put myself in it. I would walk into the physical walls in a digital space. No, not unless somebody comes and says, here's how you can do it. Then I'll pay them to do it.
I'm with you. And I think right now, everyone has this thing of oh, the virtual space, the virtual, metaverse and stuff like that. But how important is the actual physical connection?
Paramount.
Yeah, you've built incredible different events, like live events with a lot of people. You know, I was so impressed when you mentioned that you built a whole entire event that was like a lot of people, tens of
Yeah.
thousands of people.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's wild. That's one. And then two, with the whole virtual space and stuff like that, I love that you're willing to go out of the way to bring in the physical touch, to bring in the physical interaction. Can you shine some light on how events are really, really important right now more than ever? And, you know,
Oh,
how they will be forever?
Yeah, I'll hit on the first thing with the whole AI and virtual reality and all of this.
Thank you.
I don't think we can ever escape the human to human connection. And again, this is going to be up on the interwebs and all of this. And if in 2 years y'all see me doing something in the metaverse, I'll come back on here and say I was wrong. But I just don't think, like, I watch videos of people with these goggles on walking through spaces. I'm going, that's not actually community. I think it could be an asset. I mean, my buddy 3 houses down, his son loves doing the Oculus thing. He plays little games on the deal.
Right.
Cool. But like, we've seen enough movies about how when we let this stuff take over too much of our lives,
Yes.
The Matrix,
Right.
I, Robot, Independence Day. I'm like, y'all, Hollywood has told us how this could go.
Mm-hmm.
But I make light of that. But I just think that actual events where you get in the room, a physical room, like, I know for us in our relationship, like, it grew exponentially because we were in the same space together.
That's true.
Like, yeah, we had a call and this was great and it was awesome. We started working together, but it wasn't until I got my butt on a plane and showed up in Miami that we actually was like, dang, like, we can actually cultivate something together.
That's true.
And so I don't think we ever meant to escape that. But I do believe that while this is all catching on, is expedited by the isolation that we have all endured at varying levels over the last 2 going on 3 years.
Yeah.
So that's what I say to that is I don't think we'll ever be able to escape physically meeting in a room for a purpose to gather together. Like, Ginger and I just went last weekend, first mom and dad trip without the kiddos. It was amazing. We saw a concert that had 80,000 people in a sports stadium.
Nice.
It was incredible. There's no way that if I would have seen that same thing watching some goggles,
yeah,
that I would have felt the same energy.
Yeah.
So I don't think we'll ever or should ever get away from it.
I think that's the key word, should ever, you know?
Yeah.
So what are some new habits that you've developed that have helped you stay focused in your vision and your mission? It's huge. So
it is huge. One thing I totally stole from a buddy of mine, and I recorded my vision and put it to music.
Oh my gosh, that's so great.
So I'll listen to all of these like motivational tracks, you know, the David Goggins, the Eric Thomas. Like, I listen to all these things. I was like, why can't I do that?
Yeah.
And so I have a big vision. I have one for family. I have one personal, relational, emotional, professional. And so for me, a challenge that I had was always like, the I am blank, I am blank, I am blank. Like, in theory, I know that's true, but I don't talk like that.
Yeah.
I'm not that calm. Like,
right.
Meditation is a daily practice for me, but it is the most challenging of my practices. And so one really cool habit is there's a lot of royalty-free music. I just found one I liked, dropped that bad boy in GarageBand, recorded my, just like we're recording here, recorded my affirmations and my vision over it, and just downloaded that bad boy to my phone. So if I'm driving to the gym, I can listen to me speak over me my vision.
Woo! Guys, that was it. That was the game plan. That was the play. Mic drop. We all got to go play now. Like, this is so good. I'm very curious because, being a dad, okay, is a job on its own. Okay. Being a husband is another job on its own. And then being a leader stems on all of that. I'm curious, how do you find balance? Or is there such thing as balance? Or do you like to integrate everything?
Uh, is this podcast allowed for explicit language?
Sure, it's superstar interviews.
All right.
Superstar.
So we'll just do one. Balance is bullshit. So balance is BS. I said just one. Balance is BS. Here's why. Have you ever observed a scale incomplete balance?
Oh, that's a good one.
If you haven't, go YouTube scale incomplete balance. I'll paint the picture for you. A scale incomplete balance is doing nothing. It's not moving. No movement creates the balance. And so you as the person, now if you're listening, I'm moving left to right. Imagine me left to right in your ears. You're constantly looking to the left side of whatever you're trying to balance. Okay, do I have everything just right? Oh, no, I got to go over here. Oh, I got to go over here. When you're balancing your life, you're not actually moving it forward. Wow. And if you do move it forward, it's only for a little bit until you achieve balance again. So the imbalance actually predicates the forward movement that you desire, but you're so worried about balance that you don't do anything.
So freaking good. So freaking good.
So what I encourage people to adopt is presence. Isabel, I got to tell you, you are the second most important person in my life right now. Like I said, I'm number one. I got the top spot because I'm talking to you right now. Before that, it was Ginger and Bo as they go to pick up Piper from school, because that's who I was with. And when you can frame your world that it's all integrated, and wherever, whoever I'm in front of, that's the most important person outside of myself, then you'll actually start to be curious, to build connections, to increase your confidence, because you're not trying to balance all these things.
That's so strong. Yo, it's full circle all the time. All the time. I freaking love this because we speak to a lot of coaches that, they might be starting out, they don't know how to get to the next place. They might have gotten to a certain place in their business, but they've hit plateaued. Or I think the worst one is when they've just given up. I think that's like really sad. But when you have that why, that is so important, you break through any barriers. So I'm very curious, what is your why?
For which area of my life? So my ultimate why is that, again, I'm gonna paint a picture. I know that this event is going to happen in the future. And that event is Piper and Bo. They're going to come to me one day with a question. I'm going to say, Dad, I got this decision to make. Should I do this or that? we all have those moments in our life. Should we go here? Should we go here? Should we do this? Should we do that? Should I be with this person, that person, do this thing, do that thing, this or that moment? And one is going to be full of comfort and security. It's going to be safe. It's going to be secure. It's going to provide a lot of comfort. And the other is going to be a little reckless, a little fearful. It's going to be a little bit of anxiety with that. But it's going to be a lot of fun. The upside is exciting. Both are exciting. Both have impact. One is unknown. The other is known. My why is tied to my response of that moment in my life in the future.
Damn, I freaking love that one.
Because here's what's going to be asked. Dad, what do I do? And
Oh
how bad would I feel if I told her, you got to go for it. You got to do it. You can do this. And she looks at me and says, Dad, you never did.
Oh my gosh. Oh. Damn.
And so I will tell my kids stories of risk taking, betting on myself, failing forward, and getting the F back up than theories of other people doing it.
Piper, Bo, I'm so grateful for you listening right now because this one's for you. Okay. That is so beautiful. That is so beautiful. And that's always something that's in the back of my mind. We don't have kids yet, but I look at my cousins or something, I'm like, and they just did their whole prom thing. And then one of them asked, should I go to college? And he asked me when my aunt was like, not in the picture, not in the car, you know? So it was something that he was really contemplating. And I was like, what do you want to do? And he's like, I don't want to. And then there was that moment where I was like, what do I say? You know, should I go against the grain and be like, you know, be reckless or whatever, but should I go with the comfort thing? So honestly, if you can really grasp that concept, I think you've just mastered a whole pillar within your life that will help you make decisions faster, easier, more wiser. Thank you. That was a gift for me.
Absolutely.
So, thank you. Wow. You know what's funny? I've been wanting to do these interviews for like over a year now, but I never really had time to do it, right? So now that everything's more automated, I'm like, I'm gonna do this. And it's something that I really want to do. And what I catch myself doing is like, I'm so present in what you're saying that I forget where I'm gonna go next because I'm still processing.
Yes, that's about being present. You win.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And one of the questions that, I mean, one of the reasons why we do what we do is honestly being able to be wherever we are and still have the ability to run a business, to impact the lives of people. How does it feel to be location independent? Like you can work from anywhere in the world.
Yeah, the idea of it is equally exciting and equally terrifying. And I think that's a good place to be in because, you know, location independent, like, you know, if I was out of town this weekend, still got to do my work. I'll be in Florida in a month, I'll still get to do my work. I'll be in Salt Lake City 2 weeks after that, still get to do. So that it is amazing that you can work anywhere. However, for me, I've had to learn how terrible of a boss I am to myself. Because there have been times I've gotten too much freedom and too much location independent. And I don't go back, and there's something about when I'm at my desk or at about 2 coffee shops. So I have like office hours that I had to implement.
Right. Right.
And I had to hold myself to those, because without it, I found myself on a golf course. I found myself getting massages. And I'm like, you ain't doing nothing for your business. You spending money. You a liability. Stop it. You are not an asset to your company right now. So it feels amazing.
Yeah.
But I also know I don't want to paint a picture that everybody should do it. Everybody should not do and have the freedom that we have.
That's strong.
Like, because they're not wired like that. And that's okay.
Yeah.
There are people that, again, it goes back to what we said early, define your goals.
Yeah.
There are people that aren't wired nor have the desire to do what we do.
Oh my God. I just had a freaking epiphany. Thank you. I think it took me like 30, I don't even, how old am I? Whatever, 30 years to freaking get this. And I think I just got it from what you just said. I'm the opposite of my parents. You
Yeah.
know?
And that's great.
Yes.
And so I think the tension when people follow us,
Yeah.
and we see the freedom and they see the
Yeah.
thing and they see whatever, and they go, oh, if I do that, then I'll get the same result. No, because you could be striving to achieve what somebody else has, when you're supposed to stride in your assignment.
Yeah.
So striving is like running on a treadmill, going so fast, going so fast, going so fast. Well, the definition of stride is to walk in slow, decisive steps towards an intended direction. So some of us, we got to walk slowly into our assignment. For others, it's different. So it all goes back to, what do you want? What do you define?
Yeah.
So it's amazing. But I tell people, like, there's this healthy level of like obsession and stubbornness that it takes to make something successful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the biggest compliment I got was like 3 weeks ago, Isabel. I was in this like executive leadership mastermind deal. And a guy said, man, I've been watching what you're doing for a couple of years, and I figured out what it is about you that's going to make this successful. And I'm like, all ears, like this dude's a giant in the space.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? He goes, I think you're just stubborn enough to make this work.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? And he goes, listen, some call it grit, some call it perseverance. He said, it's just being stubborn and not giving up. I'm like, I like that.
Yeah.
But not everybody's built like that, nor should they be. Because if everybody was an entrepreneur, there'd be chaos.
Yeah. Wow. Honestly, I feel like that alone should be let's put it this way. If you needed to figure out what you want, okay, Kyle is your guy. Because I personally have had like 4 different breakthroughs in this call. So thank you. And it's so important. Don't compare yourself to others. Please don't. It's the most destructive thing you can do. And allow yourself to grow into what you need to become to actually be the best version of yourself. It's so important.
Little sidebar to that.
Yeah.
So compare only when you're confident who you are.
Yeah.
I compare myself to a lot of people.
Hmm.
I know it's weird. It's a weird thing because we're like, don't compare other people. Don't look. Well, how are we going to see what's possible if we don't compare ourselves to somebody?
I see.
And so if you're not secure in who
Yes.
you are, that's why I said, like, don't compare. You can
Yeah.
compare once you are confident in your calling. And once you're rooted in your assignment, because then the comparison doesn't kill you, it compels you.
Yes.
Like, we're both aligned and connected with Cardone. I watch the stuff he does. I'm like, this is nuts. This man's crazy. But it's showing me what's possible.
Right.
I look at an Andy Frisella, a Sean Whalen, a Ed Milet, a Cody Jefferson. Like, I look at a lot of these guys and I'm like, my God. Just wait till Kyle Sullivan's in that name. I'm not trying to be y'all.
Mm-hmm.
But because I'm secure and thankful to my community, my coaches, my counselors, like, I'm to that place now where I feel I can compare and it doesn't crush me. It compels me to move forward.
Well, I think that's really something to shine light on. You know, I see you in that category too. Okay. I don't compare myself, I don't compare Vanessa, I don't compare you in that way. I actually see you as like, you know, when you're going to look in that area, in that zone, let's say I'm going to go to Barnes and Noble's, pick up a book, you know, I'm going to pick up your book before I pick up some random one, because I know that you're authentic and that you're true. I think where people get lost in the mix is comparing something that is so materialistic or something that's very instant gratification-ish, right? Because of the environment that we've actually been put in. Okay.
Yep.
And I think what you mentioned is like, you have to peel back the layers. Like, you really have to be authentic with yourself and be really vulnerable enough to actually tap into your inner strength.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, when comparison crushes us, it's because we're searching for something we haven't filled in ourselves yet.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't wait. I have this vision of like maybe 20 years in the future, you know, when, you know, we'll probably be doing this interview in the metaverse. Who knows?
Why not? Why not? 20 years from now, like, we'll all be holograms walking around, just walking through each other.
Yeah, I
Jesus.
see us doing something together as far as like an event. Okay.
Yep.
I definitely see that happening in the future. I have one last question, and I know that you're standing up. Okay. And I typically ask this when people are like sitting down.
Got a chair. I'm good.
Okay, this is probably the most important question I will ever ask. And it's something so, so important to not only myself, but my future kids. Okay. What does freedom mean to you, Kyle?
Opportunity. So freedom to me is the opportunity to build and bet on myself.
Strong.
So again, it goes back to the conversations I anticipate with my kids. Opportunity is being able to share with them what I've done, where I've failed. That's freedom. Where I stayed in a place where I was rooted and I learned how to follow and I learned how to lead and I learned how to be a number 2, a number 3, a number 7 in an organization. And then, hey, I learned what it meant to build something on my own and to go through the evolution of that. So freedom's opportunity.
That's huge. That's huge. That's awesome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not checked out the locker room, make sure to do so. It will change your life completely. And if you haven't even gotten the chance to just stop, rewind, re-listen, watch again this interview, make sure to do so, because there's so many golden nuggets in here that you pretty much got a free coaching session. Just saying. So thank you for being such a giving soul, and not only that, but for taking the time out of your busy schedule to, share your wisdom with the world. So thank
Of
you.
course. Absolutely. This was my honor.
Thank you. Have a beautiful rest of your day.
Peace.